Addressing the 71st United Nations General Assembly, President Maithripala Sirisena calls for strong action against drug menace. Speaker warns MPs of their conduct in Parliament. Avantgarde continues to provide protection for international trawlers, a revelation in Parliament. Land and mansion in Malwana purportedly owned by Basil Rajapaksa becomes ownerless.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Sandru Ferdinando.
And I'm Arundhati Mudannaika. Let's take a look at the stories in detail now. President Maithripala Sirisena addressed the 71st sessions of the United Nations General Assembly early this morning, Sri Lankan time.
Sri Lanka
For the last 20 months, I have given the leadership to usher a new era of social, political and economic transformation in my country. My government's intention is to make the people of Sri Lanka one of the happiest among the world communities. I am determined to alleviate poverty in my country. I declared 2017 as the year of alleviation of poverty in Sri Lanka. I have given lead to creating the basic platform for the people to free themselves from poverty in a country that prioritizes economic progress. In the domestic front, my government has taken effective measures to strengthen democracy, rule of law and good governance in the country, paving the way for a positive change to ensure that there will be no more wars on the soils of my country, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka being a free, independent and a sovereign nation with territorial integrity like all other nations that have gathered here today, will find its own recipe for the reconciliation process and necessary transformation and reform, respecting the indigenous thinking that is essential to and accepted by the local people. Sri Lanka will adhere to a social democratic policy and work closely with the world towards the progress to prosperity and wisdom. However, we have no hurry. We trod each wise step with care, vigilance, patience and persistence. My beloved Sri Lanka has big dreams. I look forward to your support and collaboration to accomplish them.
The President made an appeal from fellow world leaders.
I take this opportunity to draw the attention of this apex audience to a great obstacle of our progress as the world community. It is the menace of drugs and intoxicants that has beset the societies, including the youth and the school children. As the President of Brazil pointed out, illicit drugs have become the most serious challenge faced by our societies today. While endorsing his ideas, I would urge the world community, the United Nations and all the states to commit themselves to fight illegal drugs collectively and individually through a robust international program that is more organized and stronger than now.
President Maithripala Sirisena handed over the instruments pertaining to entry into force of the Paris Agreement on climate change to UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon at the United Nations General Assembly. Following that, the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said the Paris Agreement has galvanized engagement of the United Nations engagement in fighting climate change at the highest level. The President thereafter held a meeting with the UN Secretary General, where the latter praised President Sirisena's commitment towards good governance and reconciliation. President Sirisena also commended the service rendered by Ban Ki-moon as Secretary General to Sri Lanka, the United Nations and the world. President Maithripala Sirisena also posed for a photograph with US President Barack Obama and US First Lady Michelle Obama. President Maithripala Sirisena also met US Secretary of State John Kerry on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly.
We're very happy to meet with President Sirisena. And it's the second time at Lanka we've been able to meet. And we're very encouraged by the steps that the President is taking, Sri Lanka is taking with respect to reconciliation. And they're also making important economic reforms. So the story of Sri Lanka is a great one, and we're really happy to be able to meet. Thank you.
His Excellency President Maithripala Sirisena had a very productive meeting with Secretary of State John Kerry. John Kerry very clearly expressed that Sri Lanka has achieved economic and social progress, and compared to the past regime, the constitutional process and other initiatives taken by Sri Lanka to make Sri Lanka a secular state, handing over land back to the people of the north and creating a secular environment has been acknowledged by the international community. With regard to the economic front, His Excellency the President clearly stated that we need international support to strengthen our economy and we need to strengthen our local industry. Mr. John Kerry expressed that we qualify under the Millennium Challenge program for economic support, and that the United States is continuously supportive of all initiatives taken by the Sri Lankan government.
Today is day 3 of the 71st session of the United Nations General Assembly. President Maithripala Sirisena addressed the 71st session of the United Nations General Assembly at 3:45 p.m. Wednesday, New York time. President Sirisena urged the international community to bless Sri Lanka as it's moving now forward following the 8th of January 2015 presidential elections. The President also emphasized that there is a need now in the world to eradicate drugs, which is a menace to students, youth as well as children of the world. President Sirisena would leave New York on Friday morning. Newsfirst, of course, brought you an extensive coverage on all the developments that unfolded from the UN headquarters from day 1. Stay connected, stay with News First as we connect you with the story first. I am Shamir Rasuldin reporting for News First from the UN headquarters in New York, USA.
Welcome back to the news. Minister of Regional Development Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca expressed the following views in Parliament yesterday.
The speech would be hurtful to those who took bribes, extorted funds and those who committed such acts. They scream and behave like animals. They speak of the honor of the war heroes. He does not know to respect the ranks of the army. He gifted a plot of land worth 306 million to the wife. Those who carried out and engaged in fraud are making visits to the courts. Some have been handcuffed. The siblings of some are in prison. Relatives of some are also in prison. Even the leader is in prison.
He is using the name Rajapaksa and pointing the finger at this side towards Mahinda Rajapaksa. He has a right to make general allegations without mentioning any names.
The head of the Rajapaksa family has managed to engage in very secretive corrupt transactions. Though his connections to these corrupt acts have not been revealed as yet, he is definitely behind them. Was he asleep when his wife, children, siblings, close associates, his staff members and these henchmen were looting money in millions and committing murder and misusing funds? Who else other than Gotabaya Rajapaksa? It was Gotabaya who killed him. That is certain. Gotabaya Rajapaksa did nothing after taking 4,500 million rupees from the Api Venuwen Api Fund. He fraudulently used 91 million rupees from the UDA and the Sri Lankan Navy to build tombs for his parents. He collaborated with Avantgarde and misused 1.11 trillion rupees. A person who dealt with Avantgarde is in this side as well. I call him Nathami, or the person who pulls the cart. I have his final photograph as well. Last time I showed the images taken in America with a person from Avantgarde, and this time I will show photographs of him and persons of Avantgarde taken here in Sri Lanka.
He used the term Natami and Minister Buddha Sasana Vijayadasa Rajapaksa. It is wrongful to say something like that to Minister of Buddha Sasana.
Now, the JVP raised questions in Parliament today regarding firms that have been granted permission to provide armed security to ships that are sailing in the international waters close to Sri Lanka.
Are all the security services provided by the Sri Lankan Navy, or are private security firms providing it as well?
For now, the Navy provides the storage, weapons and the security. No private firm provides this service as of now. There are personnel of private firms deployed on trawlers as per my knowledge.
When deploying armed personnel on trawlers that are engaged in fishing, It was revealed earlier that there was no legality of the contract reached with Avantgarde through Rokna, Lanka. In such a backdrop, the contract with Avantgarde is being continued and the task has been given to the same Avantgarde company.
I think there had been 9 agreements that the Avantgarde and the Rokna Lanka reached. The majority is null and void now. We will not carry those forward, but I believe that this particular agreement has been extended. According to my knowledge, the majority of employees of Avantgarde are military veterans. They have extended this, taking that point into consideration.
This is a corrupt deal. It is a deal that is controversial as there are a number of political affiliations to this. The government was to receive 853 million rupees as a result of unjust, unfair deals. There was a deficit of only 853 million when you took over the government. A new agreement was signed by you last October, cutting off 255 million, money that the government was to receive. Why was the decision taken to cut off that amount?
That was not a decision taken by me. Rokna Lanka has the agreement with them. I have no connection to it, but I will look into it and provide you with the details.
It was not you who signed. The issue is you are cutting off 255 million rupees that the government was supposed to receive. This will not stay with the Avantgarde. It will definitely be divided among the other groups who were a part of that agreement.
Now, the Speaker of Parliament announced today that the Supreme Court has determined that the Nation Building Tax Amendment Bill does not violate the Constitution. The Speaker also issued a warning to the members of Parliament.
I request the MPs not to act in violation of standing orders and not to accuse each other in Parliament. There were several incidents of this nature which took place yesterday. We need to realize that such acts tarnish the reputation of the Parliament as well. The people's attention has been drawn to the actions of a number of opposition MPs who shouted like animals inside the Parliament yesterday. Those actions bring disrepute to those MPs as well as the parties they represent. I would like to state that if the same continues, I will have to take stern actions in line with the existing standing orders.
A situation has arisen where there is no legal owner to the plot of land in Malwana that is said to be owned by Basil Rajapaksa.
Facts were considered at the Malwana Magistrates Court regarding the 16-acre plot of land in Malwana and the mansion that has been constructed there. The alleged owner of the land, Mudita Jayakodi, produced a motion into court and was present for the proceedings today. In his motion, Jayakodi has stated that since this plot of land has not been acquired using his money, he cannot take any responsibility regarding it. He has further stated that since he cannot be responsible with regard to the security of a property that does not belong to him, the FCID should be informed to take the necessary steps regarding it. After considering the motion, the Pugoda magistrate has presented it to the district judge. The district judge ordered that the case be convened at the magistrates court on the 4th of October, since it's suitable to consider this case at the magistrates court. The Mount Lavinia magistrate ordered that the surveying of the 60 perch plot of land in Mihindu Mawatha in Mount Lavinia said to be owned by Yoshitha Rajapaksa be carried out on the 28th of this month. Court ordered on a prior occasion that the surveying be carried out on the 20th. However, it was not carried out due to the absence of Yoshitha and his grandmother Daisy Forrest on the said date. Producing a motion to court, Yoshitha Rajapaksa informed that they could not arrive at the location on the 20th as there was a case at the Supreme Court on that day. The lawyers representing Yoshitha Rajapaksa stated that if they are unable to be present on the 28th, a representative will be made available to carry out the surveying. Meanwhile, the motion filed by Yoshitha Rajapaksa requesting for permission to travel overseas was taken up for consideration before the Colombo High Court today. The hearing of the petition was postponed till the 28th of this month to obtain the opinion of the Attorney General and to consider facts from both parties. Former Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage, who was taken into police custody over charges of money laundering, has been further remanded until the 27th of this month by the Colombo magistrate.
Welcome back to the news. Sri Lanka and Singapore have entered into a memorandum of understanding to share details pertaining to suspicious financial transactions and terrorist financing.
The Financial Intelligence Unit at the Central Bank of Sri Lanka entered into this Memorandum of Understanding with the Suspicious Transaction Reporting Office, Singapore. The Central Bank, issuing a release, stated that the agreement was reached on the 1st of this month. The main objective of the MOU is to facilitate the exchange of information related to investigations and prosecutions of money laundering and terrorist financing on the basis of reciprocity and in the spirit of cooperation and mutual interest, and within the framework of each authority's national legislation.
Also in local news, the construction of Techno City, which will serve as a hub of the ambitious multi-billion-dollar Western Province megapolis project, was launched today.
Sri Lanka's first ever Techno City is being built on an 80-acre plot of land in Mahahenawatha in Pitipana, Homagama. 5 institutions are involved in the first phase of this project. Sri Lanka's first-class institutions in the field of science and technology, University of Moratuwa, University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, University of Colombo, Arthur C. Clarke Institute for Modern Technologies and National Science Centre commenced construction at the Techno City today simultaneously. The 5-year plan will cost 200 million rupees. The Western Province Megapolis project aims to convert the area from Homagama to Kahatuduwa to one similar to Silicon Valley. Sadly, when I travel the world, I see there are many Sri Lankan scientists. If we gather all Sri Lankan experts in the United States of America, we can become one of the most powerful countries in the world. We would not need anything. I cannot be certain that they would return. We will bring in any intellectuals. What we need to do is keep the Sri Lankans in the country and create ways to make the country a knowledge center. If we deploy knowledge to the agriculture sector, there will be 1 billion waiting for food. From the Middle East to Indonesia by 2050, we need to feed the middle class. I must announce that this process will move ahead according to a proper plan, while personal agendas will not be entertained. This new city is not a Maitri city or a Vikramasinghe city. This is the future city of real Sri Lankans. This has no singular concept. Constructing all science and technology related institutions will ensure that we can create the foundations for expedited new innovations through cooperation and coordination. All the ministries are making preparations for this task.
The
Work to Rule campaign of Sri Lanka Customs trade unions entered its 4th day today.
The Work to Rule campaign was launched by the Customs Trade Union Alliance, demanding that the authorities withdraw the proposed new customs ordinance draft bill. The trade unions say that the number of documents that were prepared for the inspection of daily imports had dropped from 600 to 200, adding that clearance of stocks had been hampered as well.
Around 1,500 freight containers are cleared on a daily basis, and this figure has dropped to 300 today. We call on the officials to terminate this process and create a better ordinance with the suggestions and proposals of everyone.
Chulananda Pereira, the Director General of Customs, said that the Finance Ministry has announced that retired customs officers will be re-employed on 1-year contracts due to the trade union action. Customs spokesperson Dalmasena Kandava, speaking to Newsfirst, said that 10 retired customs officers had expressed their will to return to service.
They are attempting to re-employ retired persons and implement this forcibly. We urge that such acts not be followed and make this a mess. Sectors that generate an income to the state need new technology. Taxes due to the state can be obtained through this. This cannot be done according to traditional norms. With new technology, taxes will be collected in a more efficient manner. Taxes due are being collected. You cannot prevent the entry of the new technology. No one can stop this process. This is essential.
The second annual Colombo International Maritime Conference commenced yesterday.
The second day of the conference commenced today under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
We are also now assigned to Sabana Jorong the development of Trincomalee with all its potential in the Bay of Bengal. The government of India, the government of Bangladesh are planning out the development of the coastal ports of the Bay of Bengal. So we have three harbours that are coming up. One large harbour in Colombo. The next step is Eastport, Northport, The day North Port is over and it's full, you have the West Port, then you have Hambantota, and you have Trincomalee. Now you can put the 7th Fleet twice over in Trincomalee, so I haven't got to have any expansion plans. That's where the development comes. Most of these will be done as public-private partnerships with the SLPA and the Civil Aviation Authority, both having the regulatory powers. On to the Chinese One Belt, One Road. We are linking with Singapore, another free trade agreement with Singapore, and the long economic cooperation agreement with Japan for the development of our ports and our harbor and our airports, and the GSP Plus from the European Union. So we've got the markets there. As to what happens with the United States, I can't say yet. We'll know after November. You might end up with a Trump Tower even, for all you know.
Shortcomings in resolving the human-elephant conflict were raised on the Newsline program this morning.
Rather than having electric fences to ward off elephants, why isn't there sufficient research being done? How we can look at it in a more holistic way without harming the elephant also?
Actually, Sonali, the funds is not the problem. I don't think we even have to spend any funds from Sri Lanka. But unfortunately, there's very little help from the government sector to do this research. And even when you do the research, the findings are not used in the management. So I think this is the unfortunate situation that has led to this conflict going on and not being mitigated effectively.
The government sector is not proactively looking at this situation. Is that what you're saying conclusively?
Yes, I think the government sector is not looking at it proactively, nor are they even encouraging people to find solutions to it. Even when people do research, amidst a lot of obstacles, even then that is disregarded. It's not taken into consideration.
Who should be spearheading this initiative to mitigate the human-elephant conflict?
The Wildlife Department alone cannot do it. So I think it really has to be the development sector, because it also is detrimental to the development, the economic development of the country. So
right.
The Irrigation Department, the Mahaveli Authority, the Agriculture Department, Agriculture Extension Services Department, all these people need to play a major role.
Well, you can watch Newsline on TV1 from Monday to Friday at 7 a.m.
Paralympics bronze medalist Dinesh Priyantha visited the Newsfirst Centre today. Here are some experts from an interview which he did with Sports First Manju Tenwara.
I participated in the games without the intention of bringing back a medal for the country. My regiment for the Sri Lankan Army extended its full support to me. Major General Sumedha Pereira, the head of the Gajabar regiment, and all other ranks in the regiment extended their support to me. The commander of the Sri Lankan Army also inquired into my well-being. My left arm below the shoulder did not function. I suffered 3 gunshot wounds from an enemy onto my hand. My advice to others like me is do not be afraid. Sri Lankan athletes are talented. Do not live in the shadows. Join us, work with us, and bring honor and glory to the country.
Well, that's a look at Primetime News for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka.
And I'm Sandru Ferdinando. Do take care and good night.